He told me that I was not his MFing mother.
All right. All right. For Judging Judy. All right.
Hello and welcome to the Judging Judy podcast, the only podcast that I can think of that turns the tables on America's favorite TV judge. Before we jump into the play-by-play for this week's episode, which comes to us from way back on December 19th, 2006, I just want to offer some advice. For a breath of fresh air, try opening a window. Be careful though, especially if you're on a plane or in a submarine. To help remind us what the world was like back when this episode originally aired, I've called in my friend, Professor Wikipedia, Doctorate of Hash Browning. The Sweet Escape, the second single and title track from Gwen Stefani's second solo studio album, was released. The song's lyrics discuss an argument between spouses. Stefani apologizes for, quote, acting stank to her lover. She asks her lover for forgiveness and describes wanting to be a better wife. Perhaps also seeking a sweet escape from her own run-of-the-mill European-American background, Stefani has been quoted as saying, "Oh my God, I'm Japanese." The Combating Autism Act was signed by U.S. President George W. Bush. It authorized nearly $1 billion in expenditures over 5 years, starting 2007, for amongst other things, the screening, education, early intervention, and research of autism spectrum disorders. The bill, which was dubbed by supporters as a federal declaration of war on the epidemic of autism, joins Iraq and Afghanistan as failed invasions championed by George W. Bush. The Poinsettia Bowl was hosted at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego, California, with the TCU Horned Frogs defeating the NIU Huskies 37-7. The recorded attendance for the game was 29,709, which means that almost 30,000 people left the stadium that day, disappointed that neither an actual horned frog nor an actual husky would be playing any football. Thanks for the help, Professor Wikipedia. Now let's check in on the New York Times crossword for 12/19/06. The clue for 12 down is cockamamie, and the answer is inane. Finally, let's see the box office for that day back in 06. Number 3 was Charlotte's Web, number 2 was Aragon, and number 1 was The Pursuit of Happiness. Starring a surprisingly deep cast, including Julia Roberts, Dakota Fanning, Reba McEntire, Oprah Winfrey, Andre 3000, and John Cleese, Charlotte's Web made almost $150 million off an $85 million budget. Oh, and Steve Buscemi, he's in it too. And Beau Bridges, and Cedric the Entertainer, and Kathy Bates, and Thomas Hayden Church. They also made a bunch of tie-in video games that were poorly reviewed, but did I mention that Robert Redford was in it too? That's enough time in the web. Let's get to the teaser for this week's episode.
Was it innocent horseplay?
The answer to this question is so often, nay.
Or a playground beatdown?
You know, that would make a really good title for a Kids Bop gangster rap album.
He was suspended for stomping a boy's head.
Hey look, I'm not in favor of violence, but can we at least entertain the idea that the kid had a fire on his ear and that this other kid was just trying to stomp it out? Our plaintiff LaTanya is suing Genevieve, who Jerry Bishop identifies as her decent relative, alleging that Genevieve's son assaulted her daughter on the playground. LaTanya wants money to cover her daughter's medical bills. And now I'm just getting a quick look at both of these kids and yeah, both of them could have beat me up. They could have beat me up when I was 12. They could also beat me up today, and they'll definitely be able to beat me up tomorrow. With each passing day, 12-year-olds become abler and abler to beat me up. LaTanya brought the assaulted child, another child, and an adult as her witnesses, which means she has enough people to play doubles pickleball and is only 5 people short of fielding a full baseball team.
That was out of left field.
The defendant, Genevieve, brought the alleged assailant and one other kid, which means she's in a perfect position to start a Beastie Boys tribute band. She says it was LaTanya's kid who started the whole kerfuffle. We also keep getting allusions to the fact that these kids, and I guess these women, are all distantly related. We don't yet know if that's helpful context. I mean, generally speaking, your punishment isn't determined by the degrees of consanguinity you share with your victim. But maybe it should be. Email judgingjudypod@gmail.com or comment if you believe there should be no punishment for beating someone up so long as they're at least your third cousin once removed.
Neither of you were there, is that correct?
That's correct.
The only people that were there were your children.
What about Santa?
Seriously though, we don't have any other kids who witnessed it, or teachers. It'd still be hearsay, fine, I accept that. But it would be nice to get other people's perspectives, no? It's hard to believe no one else saw these kids fight. Isn't the point of fighting to get attention? I mean, if you give someone a purple nurple, but no one sees it, was their nurple really purple at all?
Technically, no. Medically, yes.
Judy tells the adults to sit. We're going to hear from the kids instead of their moms. It must be refreshing for these two kids, a little change of pace. I mean, they're used to going up against each other, clearly, but for once they'll actually have some adult supervision.
When did this incident take place, Kalaysha?
I'm not sure.
I hope Judy knows what she's doing here, because kids are dumb. Adults are dumb too, of course. Perhaps even dumber. More dumber even. But kids are dumb in a slow, boring, frustrating way that often doesn't make for good TV. If they can't get us to go to their recitals, why would we want to watch them on TV?
June 5th after school.
Now here's a kid who came prepared. Not an ounce of doubt, not a moment of hesitation. Spoken, perhaps, like someone who was very proud of beating up his distant relative on that particular day. Robert explains that he knew Kalaysha because they went to the same school at the time and because she's related to his grandfather's wife. Which means they're not really related. You know how many cousins I would have if I had to count everybody who's related to all of my grandpa's wives? As it is, I've been warned many times by any number of my uncles to never date anyone born in Rhode Island, lest I commit the same incestuous errors.
Don't do it!
Robert says that prior to the incident, he hadn't had any trouble with Kalaysha. Unfortunately, all of Robert's moxie withered away when it came to actually explaining what happened. We get a low-caffeine, belabored, personality-free story. There was a basketball game, there was a friend, there was a sister. Listening to this kid is like listening to the flight attendants when they are blathering on about what to do if the plane crashes. Exit row, blah blah, masks from the ceiling, whatever. Eventually, though, Robert gets to the point.
Okay, she kept on trying to get the ball and stuff, and then I said, I'm playing with my little sister. She kept on trying to do it, and then I said no, and I kept on grabbing the ball and taking it away, and then she started kicking me in my butt.
After telling her to stop kicking him, Robert says he tried to push her away.
And then she tried to kick me in my private part, and then...
You're not supposed to do that.
At this point, Robert says he gave up trying to block Kalaysha and resorted to running away, though his cousin 18 times removed then started to chase after him.
And then I turned my back, and then she started hitting me and kicking me in my back.
Whatever else we may or may not be able to say about Kalaysha, the kid allegedly has stamina. Robert says it was at this point, tired of being kicked, that he picked up Kalaysha and put her down.
I lift things up and put them down.
Excuse me?
I lift things up and put them down.
This, Robert claims, only brought about a fresh round of hitting and kicking by Kalaysha. Again, a real testament to this kid's training regimen. No cramps, no rest, just kicking and hitting and kicking and hitting. She clearly came to this alleged fight and was allegedly prepared to give it her alleged all.
How many times did she kick you?
Like a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
You must have been all bruised.
Not really, but...
Now, odds are Robert is lying, but there is a possibility that Kalaysha's a crappy kicker. I mean, I keep praising her tenacity and her endurance, but it's possible she was going for high quantity of kicks when she really should have been going for quality kicks. Not that I'm advocating for childhood violence, but if I were to provide any advice, I'd say if you're going for bruises, if you want to leave a bruise with a clearly defined Nike or Adidas logo on it, focus on one good kick.
How black and blue was he?
Genevieve, through the rictusest of grins, says that he wasn't black and blue. Judy, instead of asking Robert if he happened to have been wearing chainmail that day, asks him if he wants to tell his story again.
Please, not again.
Robert grins, he hems, even haws. He does everything but make eye contact with Judy. I wonder if they ever considered this for Judy's tagline.
Look at me.
It would work, right?
Of course it would work.
Was Kalaysha annoying you?
Oh, yes, she was.
She was annoying you.
Robert says this with an urgency that suggests he may have been misinformed into believing that being annoyed by your distant cousin means you're allowed to assault your distant cousin. He says it almost like he's relieved that Judy finally gets it. When Judy asks what Robert did when Kalaysha was pestering him, he said he tried to run away and not do anything, as his mother had previously instructed him.
Why did you tell him to leave her alone?
Again, I kind of wonder if Robert is thinking, yeah, Mom, why'd you tell me to leave her alone? Even this lady knows that if someone is annoying you, you're allowed to beat them up.
Kalaysha, week before, was trying to get him jumped.
Judy asks quite reasonably why this might have happened. After all, Robert had led us to believe that they had had no problems previous to this basket brawl.
Well, the two of them were kind of talking on the phone. I think that she liked him or vice versa.
Slow down. No one gave these kids the Rhode Island talk. Well, actually, on the contrary.
Well, Robert's grandfather talked to him and said that because they were related, it didn't look right.
And then what? He secretly snuck over to Kalaysha and told her to have Robert jumped? If so, I like this grandpa. Genevieve says that Robert, heeding his grandfather's guidance, tried to avoid her, lest he be drawn to her, enraptured by her, as if she were one of the sirens of Rhode Island. However, Kalaysha continued to try to call Robert as many as 10 or 15 times a day. With the meekness of someone still exhausted from delivering thousands of non-bruising kicks to her cousin, Kalaysha almost inaudibly denies calling Robert scores of times.
Well, you did call. Phone records are very easy to trace, Kalaysha. Why were you calling Robert?
Kalaysha eventually says that she thought they were friends. And as it turns out, Robert had never told her to stop calling.
He didn't tell her, but he would say if she called, just tell her I'm not here.
Genevieve, as the alleged adult, did you ever think about telling your kid to stop gaslighting his cousin? I mean, it was apparently up to his grandfather to tell him not to date his cousin. You already didn't do your job there. I shouldn't be surprised you didn't have the courage to parent just a little bit by telling him to be honest with Kalaysha.
I think he didn't want to hurt her
Be
feelings.
nice.
I got a feeling it probably hurt her feelings then. I think she knew he was there and you were lying on his behalf. At some point, after Robert was predisposed and unable to make it to the phone for the 2000th time, I think she caught on. She was a kid, and by default, she was stupid. But she wasn't dumb.
There's a big difference.
Judy sends Genevieve back to her seat so we can get Kalaysha's recounting what happened that day.
Had you been told that you and Robert should sort of cool it?
Kalaysha says it was her mother who told her this, and that when she relayed the same to Robert, he got mad at her. The heart wants what the heart wants, I guess. Kalaysha goes on to say that on the day of the fight, she didn't know that Robert would be at the park, but she concedes that when she got to the park, she saw him there.
And what happened when you got there?
Kalaysha says she was playing and tickling with a friend, which made Robert jealous.
And so he either picked me up or he flipped my leg from under me.
I lift things up and put them down.
Judy asked Kalaysha if she had been in close proximity to Robert when this happened, but she says she wasn't and that Robert stopped what he was doing to confront her.
Were you trying to make him jealous with Jalen?
You know, Jealous with Jalen sounds like a very sad influencer YouTube channel. Each video starts with him, I don't know, showing you a new townhouse on the market in Mission Viejo. But before he's halfway through the farmhouse door, he's already describing how he saw another realtor's video and now he's upset because they've got a nicer car and they've got straighter veneers and we haven't even made it to the first of the 2.5 baths and Jalen's in tears about all the birthday parties he wasn't invited to as a kid.
No, me and Jalen's been friends for a long time.
Kalaysha's answer suggests that she would consider using someone to make Robert jealous, but that Jalen is firmly in the friend zone and that the thought never occurred to her to use him in that capacity.
Well, I didn't ask you that question.
I'm with Judy right up until she asked Kalaysha if she thought it was a smart thing to tickle and play with Jalen in front of Robert, who she knew liked her. I don't know if Kalaysha was trying to provoke Robert, but I do know that it sounds suspiciously like Judy is victim blaming, suggesting that if she wants to tickle and play, Kalaysha ought to do it elsewhere lest she anger Robert.
You know, I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
At the same time, Judy doesn't finish this statement by saying, "Or die trying." So I have some questions about her commitment.
You're not taking this seriously.
Judy says that people make bad choices and that those bad choices don't mean they deserve to be hurt. But she also says that people have feelings and that it's not right to tease other people for their feelings. On the surface, none of this is objectionable. I'm tempted to sign on, but I'm a little worried as to what all of this is leading to. What might be lurking underneath the surface? It's like a ballot referendum in California, which purports to be about saving the redwoods. One minute you think you're voting for trees, and the next you realize you've accidentally also given the green light to primetime cockfighting as sponsored by DraftKings.
I've been tricked.
Judy tells LaTanya that she's getting the vibes that Kalaysha was teasing Robert, a point that LaTanya concedes is possible.
I was just hoping I could talk about prior to this incident.
I'm a little surprised, but Judy, metaphorically, gives LaTanya the floor. Let's be clear, the floor is still in place, no one in the room is floating, and they haven't been forced to sit on bare dirt.
It started with there being derogatory things written on the bathroom wall.
LaTanya says that she spoke to the principal about the graffiti and that the principal had suspicions about who it might be, but that without evidence, all they could do was remove what had been written. However, the school agreed to monitor both of them, resulting in somewhat of a lull in the acrimony between the two of them.
And then there began this taunting at lunchtime.
Good God, it sucked being 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or 16.
Till the day you die.
From there, it elevated to him calling her a excuse my language.
LaTanya says that at this point, she spoke with Genevieve, she spoke with the school, and she spoke with Robert, who shook hands with her and promised he would end his hostilities with her daughter. Judy finds all this interesting, but she wants to return to the day of the incident in mind.
No, Miss Jenkins, listen to me. He was playing basketball far away from your house. And what I'm telling you was, you can't absolve your daughter of responsibility.
Judy goes on to say that, quote, there are lots and lots of other places to play tag, which sadly might not actually be the case in many neighborhoods.
She didn't have to take Jalen under his nose and fool around with him and tickle him.
Okay, but the kid, he can't still beat her up, right? I hope we can agree on that. Robert's version of events were that he was protecting himself from an onslaught of kicks. In that defense, fine, self-defense.
I don't believe this nonsense about getting kicked and pummeled without one mark on his body.
Agreed, so throw it out. Let's just say she was teasing him. Teasing someone isn't nice, but it doesn't justify a beating. Judy asks Robert if he was annoyed seeing Jalen and Kalaysha together.
No, I wasn't, because I've known him since like kindergarten, and we take each other as cousins, kind of.
I hope that Robert's own admission here is enough for Judy to drop her whole crime of passion, jealousy angle.
But that feels unlikely.
Judy doesn't relent, asking Robert to describe what Jalen and Kalaysha were doing, asking him to describe the tickling, asking him how long they were tickling, and then reiterating that it was the two of them tickling each other. I guess ruling out the possibility perhaps that the Pillsbury doughboy, delightful as he may be, got in on the tickling.
At what point did she stop tickling and playing with Jalen and come over and start punching and kicking you?
Robert starts stuttering through his next lie, forcing her to remind him that well isn't an answer.
Well.
While Bailiff Bird retrieves Kalaysha's hospital records for the beatdown from LaTanya, Judy drops this absolute bomb, a tacit endorsement for Rhode Islanding if I've ever heard one.
By the way, I think that both of you people overreacted to this distant cousin nonsense and how it would look for members of the community. It's not exactly meeting your brother or your sister and getting married.
Oh, wow.
Now here's what I think is going on here. Judy's finally realized that she was wrong to pursue so stridently the Jalen-Kalaysha jealousy angle, but rather than admitting she was wrong, she finds herself in the position of having to defend good old-fashioned casual incest, so long as it doesn't result in marriage. Either that, or she hasn't realized she was wrong about the jealousy thing and genuinely believes casual cousin incest is A-okay. Either way, there's something to be said about zigging when everyone expects you to zag, but if people are zigging away from incest, you can go ahead and zig right along with them.
11, 12 years old, I don't think that you have to worry about having children that may not be Mensa.
Let's break this absolute gem apart. Judy Scheinlin, who loves to tout the importance of personal responsibility like she's a brochure for a libertarian summer camp, is now advocating against these two parents stopping these cousins from developing a romantic interest in each other because at 11 or 12, they're too young to have children who won't have high IQs. Now, should they wait until after the two kids have had dumb kids, Judy? Is that the right time to interfere in underage incest? I've given both of these parents crap, especially Genevieve, but they were proactively trying to do the right thing, to stop incest. And you're telling them to butt out. While there are certain parts of the country and certain political parties where the incest is okay message might resonate, I don't think it's good guidance to issue out over the daytime TV airwaves.
I just thought we were doing the proper thing by them being family.
It's a little overreacting.
And you're a little wrong, Judy. The judge shout asks Robert and Kalaysha about their grades, and because they're not idiots, they both say they do well. She then asks Robert if he's gotten into any other trouble at school, besides the assault and the graffiti in the bathroom and the taunting in the cafeteria. And those are just the ones that I remember.
I think you're forgetting something.
In school?
Maybe just a couple, incidents between talking and stuff to another student or...
But nothing else?
Arguing, no.
If you ignore the sound in his voice, if you ignore the stuttering, if you ignore his eyes darting around the room, seeking out either a fire exit or a fire alarm or a bullwhip, Robert is definitely 100% telling the truth.
He was suspended for stomping a boy's head in school. The police and an ambulance was called.
Were you, Robert?
The cops were just like, oh yeah, this is fine.
As LaTanya says this, Robert drops his own head, though it looks less like some invisible foot is stomping on it and more like an invisible guillotine has severed it from his neck.
Robert! Yeah. You fibbing to me?
Of course he is.
Or did you just forget?
I had a couple fights, but it was nothing.
Genevieve says that the other kid jumped on Robert first, that Robert didn't stomp on the kid's head unprovoked. Now, if that's true, I think the kid who jumped Robert, he must have had really bad aim to find his own head underneath Robert's stomping foot. Returning us back to the day of the incident at the center of the case, LaTanya says she received a call from her daughter who was hysterically crying and saying her head hurt. Upon going to the school, she confronted Robert.
I went over to Robert and I asked him why he put his hands on Kalaysha. He said he didn't. He looked over at Jalen and he said, Jalen, did I put my hands on her? And I said, Jalen, don't lie. And Jalen said, yes, you did.
Word is, you'll snitch for candy.
This must have seriously put into danger Jalen's status as Robert's favorite fake cousin. LaTanya says she told Robert to go into the school that he couldn't just stand around bullying and hurting children, especially her own.
He told me that I was not his MFing mother.
Factually correct, of course, but probably not the specific fact that Robert should have shared at that moment. I mean, he could have said that our son will become a red giant in about 5 billion years. He could have said that the Atlanta Braves used to be the Milwaukee Braves. He could have said that previous to that, they were the Boston Braves. It's just that the fact that Robert chose to share with LaTanya was simply not the right one for the moment. Robert, according to LaTanya, went on to say that she couldn't tell him to do anything. She conceded the point while letting him know that she would get people who could tell him what to do. The police, the principal, and his mother. Insofar as I can tell, they're not all the same person, but I will let you know if that changes.
The principal had to send 2 counselors out there to bring him in the school.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that given my emotional distance, my impatience, and my antipathy for children, that I would not make a good guidance counselor.
It is my duty to advise you against it.
No, that's
what
true.
I'm telling you is, I'm not excusing Robert's behavior.
This is inevitably leading to a but, and after that but, we're going to hear a thinly veiled explanation for how it's actually Kalaysha's fault.
But your daughter's behavior instigated this problem on that day.
Not so thinly veiled after all. Judy goes on to explain that Robert isn't fully grown or, quote, fully cooked
because my microwave is broken.
That he's an 11-year-old child.
And she should not have put herself in that position, not only by going to the park and playing around with his friends since kindergarten. Right? She shouldn't have done that.
So Robert is a half-thawed lean cuisine meal, but Kalaysha, who is also 11 and in fact younger than Robert, is a thoroughly heated, chef-prepared, Michelin-starred bowl of goulash who is responsible for her actions and his too.
She knew what she was doing. Little girls know from a very early age, from the time they're like 4 years old, how to get under people's skin. Well, they know it. Boys just don't listen to me. Boys just understand dirt.
I don't think anyone of any seriousness will disagree that girls, by and large, mature faster than boys. What I hadn't realized is that some people, TV judges for instance, also believe that faster maturation requires girls to constantly check their own actions, their own behavior, lest they upset the unmature, dirt-focused boys amongst them. And that all of this starts at 4 years old. Judy, now playing for laughs, extends boys' knowledge base beyond dirt to also include mud, grease, soccer, and basketball, but not physical assault. Girls, Judy says, learn at a very early age how to, quote, get under your skin. Judy says she doesn't know how this happens, which makes me angry. And anger I can only blame on Judy, for she ought to have known her lack of knowledge would get under my skin, given her level of maturity and my mostly dirt, mud, and grease-obsessed, highly stunted mind.
They are manipulative little creatures.
Remember when Robert lied about beating up Kalaysha, claiming that she started the fight with a whole hurricane of kicks? Remember when Robert lied about not getting into trouble at school?
Boys are not manipulative. They don't get it.
That wasn't manipulation. That was just mud and grease. Despite this stirring Victorian-era lesson in gender and psychology, Judy says that she's ruling against Genevieve. I'd say I was surprised, but I think what really happened was that I was manipulated.
I'm just a boy!
While Judy again looks over the medical bills, LaTanya says that due to the assault, Kalaysha was afraid to go to school and missed the last week and a half of school.
How is his mother responsible for that?
Via either natural birth or C-section. Now, I'm worried for LaTanya that this appeal for pain and suffering beyond the medical bills might put her whole case in danger. Judy's looking for any excuse to say that boys will be boys, to give Robert a noogie, and then to tell Kalaysha she's a conniving hussy.
You're not with it, madam.
Okay, Hepcat. LaTanya has been exceedingly with it throughout the entire episode. She's been groovy, happening, and radical too. More importantly, though, she's been patient with you while you carry on and insult her daughter to her face.
I'm telling you that I didn't think Robert would put my daughter on the ground twice and punch her.
Judy replies to this by saying that Genevieve isn't responsible for all of her son's actions, given that Kalaysha was teasing him.
I would suggest that you have a discussion with your daughter, because she's going to be a young lady for a very long time. And now that you know that she knows how to manipulate, you tell her sometimes when you manipulate, especially when you manipulate young men who have premature testosterone, that sometimes bad things happen. And that's a lesson she better learn now. And if she got away with just a lump on her head, she's a very lucky girl. Next time she won't be so lucky.
Right, and this...
I wish you hadn't said that.
LaTanya says that there's some really bad history about Robert that Judy doesn't know. And neither will we, because rather than confronting any or all of the biases that she's displayed today, Judy yells, "Speak not," and then says this:
I don't want to know anymore.
I couldn't have put it better myself. In an episode where Judy both managed to be in favor of incest so long as it didn't result in having stupid children, and argue that boys are too stupid to know they shouldn't hurt people for not liking them, what more is there to say? Quite a bit, as it turns out, because now it's my turn to judge Judy. I follow a very strict set of rules, of course, but what it all comes down to is this. Did Judy do her job? Did she deliver justice? If so, she's innocent. If not, she's guilty. Maybe it's because I still haven't matured, but I think Judy's guilty today. I mean, if there was an upside to the case, at least Judy didn't rule completely against LaTanya and her kid, because she was sure tempted to. Judy seemed dead set on exonerating Robert and blaming Kalaysha, despite his lies, despite his history of violence, and despite the facts at hand, all because of Kalaysha's gender. And when Judy couldn't shoehorn the truth into a narrative that made sense to her, the whole Kalaysha was intentionally trying to make Robert jealous thing, she claimed that it was much ado about nothing because a little bit of preteen incest is no big deal. I don't argue that kids should know that their actions have consequences. I don't argue that boys often mature more slowly than girls. But Judy's unwillingness to see the individual facts of this case was jarring. It begs the question, when should we expect boys to be responsible for their actions? At what age do we think they ought to know, a little more than dirt and mud, grease and soccer? Because they know how to shoot guns in their schools. They know how to abuse their wives and girlfriends. They know how to kill. Are all those things, the things that boys do, are they actually girls' fault because they should know better, because they mature faster? It took a lot for Judy to blame Robert, but it's a lot easier for me to blame Judy, because today, Judy's guilty. That noise means it's hangman time, but this isn't the hangman you played as a kid when you really should have been learning the difference between regular gold and fool's gold. No, this is hangman with stakes. This week, I'm putting tying your shoes up on the gallows. If I win, people will be allowed to tie their shoes. Not required, just allowed. Best practice, but not the law. However, if I lose, it's shoes untied from here on out. You've still got to keep the laces in, but they must stay untied. I'm using hangmanwords.com, and this week I'm returning to their movies words list. Hangmanwords.com gives me 6 incorrect guesses, 6 letters that can be wrong before I lose the game. And yes, this would be better if it weren't an audio podcast. Okay, so our answer here is 6 letters. Just one word, 6 letters. Remember, it's the movies words list. So I'm gonna start bold here with a U. No surprise, no U. So I only have 5 more incorrect guesses. I'm gonna get a little bit more conservative here. I'm gonna guess E. There's no E. So now I have a torso and I only have 4 more incorrect guesses. Vowels have been treating me well so far, so let's try A. There are 3 A's. A blank, A blank, A blank. Let's see, maybe S? There's no S, so I only have 3 more incorrect guesses. What about N? There's no N, so I only have 2 more incorrect guesses. Let's try T. There is a T. A blank, A T A blank. I am not sure. And I would really like to keep using my shoelaces. I trip even with them tied, even having them. So this is to be honest, it's real personal for me. It's self-serving. I really don't want to lose this one. Oh, it's Avatar. Okay. V and R, it's Avatar. Success. Keep those shoelaces tied or untied, it's up to you, but what matters most is it's up to you. You have the choice, because I won today at Hangman. With our last few moments, let's hear an out-of-context quote from Judge Judy. You don't love each other and you're living together and sharing a bathroom. Nothing could be worse. Late breaking edit. Look, I listened to this podcast and I went back through the episode and I'm not entirely sure what Judy ruled. I think she ruled in favor of LaTanya, but only for medical expenses, not pain and suffering. But I'm not entirely sure. And you know what? That's just another reason that today Judy's guilty. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening. Fornicate, like, subscribe, and share. But whatever you do, please don't date anyone from Rhode Island.